Hey everyone, good evening. Welcome to the podcast for the Kosher Intuitive. I am Yael Meisels, clairvoyant, intuitive healer, and life coach, and comedian. So, as I posted when I said, about tonight's topic, a few people have asked me. I've been posting a lot, doing a lot of my episodes of my podcast, and when I have like windows of time to record a few episodes, I do that. Um, in case there does become a stretch of time where I go, weeks or months without posting. So I try to keep up as much as I can. So one of the things, I guess, not even one of, like the topic tonight is really interesting to me. Um, we're going to explore the human psyche and possibly touch on. I have some theories about this person. So we're going to touch on the mind of Kanye West. All right. Now, you guys, for anybody who knows me personally, they know, everybody knows, I am like not a big TV person. Um, I'm more of a music person. And when I do watch TV and movies, they're more along a storyline of something that like actually happened. You know what I mean? So I'm not a big fiction lover. And I usually don't follow a lot of like what goes on in the lives of musicians that I appreciate. But like if, let's Kanye West is a complete, yes, he's a musician, but he's a completely different like brand of humanity, if you will. You know what I mean? And like, let's be honest, this man made Graduation is quite arguably one of the best albums that's ever been made. And I'm talking as like a person who has loved Kanye West since they were like 20. All right. Like, it's a tragedy to me to see what a man with such a brilliant mind in music is capable of doing. And I wanted to like kind of educate myself on this before I really formed a solid opinion and say, like, do we hate Kanye forever? Listen, you guys, I saw videos of this man, like Kanye West shouting out, excuse me, like a lunatic, that he's a god and shit. I mean, this is just crazy. And here's the thing though. There are other people in the room while this man is leaping up and down, proclaiming himself to be some kind of god. This is really absurdity. And like there are people in the room. This isn't like a live stream that he's doing by himself. Um and you know, like the I can't even say it with a straight face, you guys. The black Ku Klux Klan outfit. That is a comedy show and like a scream for help. I mean, first of all, there's like so many layers to this onion. And it's like I can tell you, I don't know what happens when someone achieves that level of wealth, and the people they surround themselves with, but I would have hoped, okay, that kind of money would have um I would have hoped that kind of money would have purchased a better caliber of humanity to surround yourself with. I mean, imagine if someone who's like in our tax bracket with regular jobs, like my regular job is, aside from intuitive healing and coaching, I work in real estate. Anyone who's following me knows I'm starting to go to school to do excuse me, medical yoga. I'm just okay. So I have like a regular job. So like if anybody we knew with our income bracket, let's say between $60,000 and let's say like someone who makes 100 and, or let's say 200,000 a year. If someone were to jump around, leaping through the air, proclaiming themselves to be some sort of god, the way Kanye West does these shenanigan things, we would all have an intervention. If you cared about this person, you would have, you would assume they're going banana crackers. You know what I mean? Something must be up. Maybe a medication changed. Something has happened. What I see happening to like a musical genius and quite arguably one of the best musicians to ever grace the face of the planet is like a very public mental and emotional and clearly spiritual deterioration. Like, evidently, Kanye West and Jesus have appeared to break up. Like, he hasn't talked about the JC in quite a minute. Quite a bit. And, dude, like, okay. I just find it to be interesting, almost like that was maybe a stage, like something he was hyperly into for a brief moment in time, and now he's parading around with a blatantly naked person, and when I was doing the research to really talk about my feelings on this topic, and I really wanted to form a solid opinion. So I started to watch a few videos over the last, I would say about week, of like Kanye talking and Kanye having interviews and things. And like he is saying outrageous things, and as I said in my podcast yesterday about Avraham, we have to take into consideration people like Kanye West, people like Candace Owen are two very enormous disappointments because these people have followings. And I know tonight's topic is about Kanye West. We're not gonna skirt away from that. But Kanye and Candace, they're clan buddies, and I mean, shit. Like their followings are more people than the Jewish people combine, which is, probably somewhere between, if I'm not mistaken, 16 and 20 million. If somebody knows the exact number, please feel free to add to the conversation. That's exceptionally dangerous when we literally have somebody flailing around, behaving this way, selling swastika t-shirts for the love of the Lord, during the Super Bowl. Like, I can't, now he's addicted to nitrous and they're suing. And, so one of the videos that Kanye was in that I was watching to like form a hard opinion on this topic, and people have asked me because they know I like Kanye West, like if I have any feelings on his deterioration. And obviously I do. He was saying how his daughter was in some sort of music video with some rapper dressed very grown. Now, listen, that would offend me. I have two 13-year-old boys. I don't want them running the streets looking grown. And I would imagine, like, when he's saying grown, he's not talking about a woman of valor. He's saying it in a negative tone, as if he's like saying his kid looks, kind of trashy, dressed in an inappropriate way for her age. So I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching this, like, I applaud you for having the wherewithal to not want your child to dress outside of her age and expose her body and look a certain age when she's really a child, etc. And so I applaud you for that. But however, the two women you've been married to have built existence and careers around being completely nude. And when he says this, I'm looking at this going, this is someone who's Like, listen, you guys, I understand genius people. I have a hilarious, for those of you who watch my comedy series, The Jewish Illuminati, I hope you think it's funny, but the comedy series is actually based out of the support system that I have for people who are gifted with human phenomena, human abilities, and all sorts of um, rare human phenomena. All right. Now, while that's a conversation for another day, a rare human phenomena is something called synesthesia. Now, one of the times, about 10 years, 12 years ago, maybe, Kanye was talking about something and he mentioned synesthesia, and that kind of like piqued my interest because even though I knew what it was, I hadn't heard very many people talk about it or identify with it. And synesthesia would be considered a gift. Like most people that are musically gifted have synesthesia. It's Google it. It's a brilliant. It's connected to brilliant people. You know, like ADHD. Um, but synesthesia and ADHD in our little Jewish Illuminati would be considered like I'll be honest with you, most of these people are into energy, are doing energy healing and faith healing by trade. Um, these are just extremely extraordinarily talented people. So, you know, I've studied at nauseum. I mean, my God, I've been studying rare human phenomena, and rare human disorders and abilities since I was about 9. It's always piqued my interest. Um, and what I find interesting here is that there really is a gigantic disconnect within this person's perception of reality. Like, this man in his own lifestyle is creating a reality where it would make sense that his daughter would do these types of things based on his behavior. And I realized, like, this is a person who can't take any, personal or spiritual accountability. And I just find it incredibly disappointing that to have that amount of money in the world has not purchased loyal, rational people. That's fucking horrible. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to talk about this for a long time. All right. And I don't care how you feel. It's not my business. I don't listen. I don't vote. I didn't vote this past election because I was like, oh, Lord, have mercy. God just, God, like, Lord, take the wheel. You know what I mean? That's truly was my approach to the last election. I'm not voting for either of these people. Geez Louise. So, but can we agree Donald Trump, whether you love him, whether you hate him, I'm not even going to make the Nazi comparison. That's just egregious that people have the audacity to do that. It doesn't really matter what you think about Donald Trump. All right. That's a separate conversation. We're not touching that with a 9-foot pole. Okay. We're not going near that shit. But can we agree there's a difference in his attitude? At least what we're seeing on the news and social media, he's a little bit snarky. He's tough as a business person, fine. But I mean, in his first presidency, listen, the man said horrid things. The grab him by the PUSSY shit. Oh, Lord. I mean, this man said terrible things. All right. Listen, some people just, I don't know. They're products of their environment. They talk that way. And I also understand that people can heal, that people can grow and evolve. But what I also think is probably true as in pertaining to the president is that, they have quite a bit of money. And I bet you, not only have we seen they buy themselves loyalty with that money, but I would imagine there is someone helping the president have a calmer tone so the American people feel more trustworthy of the things he's saying and doing. I think his approach to the authority, to his approach in the authority, is very different this time. When he talks, he's not, at least not nowhere near to the level that it was happening, being blatantly insulting to people. Listen, I feel like there's, what I'm hoping is sincere positive growth. Let's give someone dam zachaschus, the earth also dam zachaschus. Like, let's hope there is positive growth taking place. Like, we, the American people, don't benefit from Donald Trump being, God forbid, mentally ill. So I always pray, heal the presidents and the leaders of the lands, because at the end of the day, y'all, you got to remember, they are running running the running things in the countries we live in. So whether you like someone or not, whatever religion or God you pray to, that heal the sick narrative is probably a good way to be. So if someone is physically sick, spiritually sick, mentally sick, emotionally sick, financially sick, we pray for them. So in any event, I'm saying we see that the president, who is equally as famous as Kanye West, he might be just a few rungs below the ladder, but I can't imagine there's a person alive other than, I can't imagine there's a person that doesn't know about Kanye West. But anyway, it's just sad to me. Like, okay, so I'm going to let my head go in the direction of please forgive me for this, you guys. But I'm starting to wonder, okay, is there like, the man is clearly having an emotional, psychological, medical meltdown in front of the public. No, I don't know what's being done behind closed doors, but it's just like I would have hoped that people would have stepped in to help this person be well. But what I find interesting here is that this person just like lives in a completely disconnected narrative. Like, he's doing crazy psycho things, right? Now, let's go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole for a minute. What if, I'm going to throw a scenario out there, and I'm not even saying I'm right. I'm just saying it just doesn't make sense how a person keeps embarrassing themselves again and again. And it's like, you've got these idiots around him going, oh yeah, that's so brilliant. Hee hee, tee hee hee. Oh yeah. Like, are you flipping flamingos? Like, these people are loony toony boony. They're out of their minds, right? I am starting to honestly, earnestly wonder, did someone important like Kanye West, right, make some sort of business deal or make some sort of, I don't know, gamble or exchange, whatever it is, right? Did Kanye West, because it's like almost inconceivable, at least I would have hoped, that someone would allow somebody this grossly mentally unhinged with 4 children, to consider running amok and running his mouth and wearing the Black Klan thing and all this business, and just, I mean, even the black thing over his face, that is just absurd. This is not the way well people dress. This is not art. This is Looney Tunes. So you have this person enabling the Looney Tuneism, and I'm looking at this going, there's 4 children here. I mean, is it possible that Kanye West is in some sort of situation that money could not buy his way out of? Like, I'm throwing out a scenario here. Let's say I want to do something or go to space, or I don't know, whatever the hell. I don't know, like, you promise a company a certain amount of money, and if you don't pay the money or whatever the case may be, instead of coming after you financially, to absolve the debt, they'll make you deliberately embarrass yourself. Otherwise, they'll, God forbid, kill you. Like, I can't even imagine such a scenario. Like, I can't even think, like, what would that be? I can't even, like, it's so wackadoodle dandy. Excuse excuse me. Like, the concept to me for a second, because anybody who watches this show, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theory person. I'm not. I'm not. I take all conspiracy theories with a heavy grain of salt. I'm just looking at this going to myself, okay, someone this wealthy with children, it's got a wife strutting around naked. The man is an unholy mess. All right. Musical genius or not, unholy mess going on over there. Everyone except the ex-wife is condoning this. It looks like the current wife is trying to bring in reason. I mean, this is, again, what we're all seeing from the news, right? And I guess what I just am starting to wonder is this behavior a hoax? Is this behavior let's say it even is, right? I mean, that's obviously a mental illness episode at that point, that you would behave in such a manner. Like, then you're probably dealing with a real, something to address with a doctor for real. But, like, I'm starting to wonder if, like, Kanye is in some sort of spiritual or financial or business wise or, cult situation where instead of paying a debt in money, he has to maybe do something publicly humiliating, to, like, compensate for that, to, like, bring him, like, shame. And, I'm letting my head go there because I'm just looking at the sheer amount of, like, clear mental breakdowns this dude has had in broad public with children. And it just seems like, his Jesus phase, he looks pretty okay-ish. The Jesus phase is clearly over. Now he's in his naked phase, I guess. What the hell? Like, geez Louise. But yeah, it's mind-numbingly sad to me to see someone who is a musical genius, just on another level of human ability, deteriorate like this. And something I want to mention that I just think, again, forgive me, Lord in heaven, and those of you watching, for going here, because, again, I hate to go down the conspiracy theory route. I like to stick with what we know. But good heavens, Kanye West, God save his life, and Candace Owen, the biggest disappointment, Amakshimo, whatever, Candace Owen sucks. So these people, while the Jewish people are at an actual war in our God-given land, may the Beis Hamikdash stand immediately, please God, and the reveal of the Messiah, the resurrection of the dead, everything glorious and miraculous. God save the Jews, save the good people of the world. Because Lord knows the Jewish nation is in a war on the ground in our God-given land and online and in our backyards. We are actually on the defensive, and Candace Owen and Kanye West, all right, just bark like howling hyenas about the Jews. Okay. At what point, all right, listen, who the hell are these Jews? We're all ears, Kanye and Candace. Geez Louise. Who in the frock are these Jews that you speak of? Because I know out of essentially 20 million Jews, between three major denominations of Judaism. You have Orthodox Judaism and all that encumbers. You have conservative Judaism and all that encumbers. And you have Reform Judaism, which is just, I don't even know what they're doing. Anyway, God love them. They're Jewish. They don't know what they're doing. Well, Mashiach will save them, I'm sure. So listen, even though I wasn't born and raised Jewish, ladies and gentlemen, I converted Reform Jewish as a teenage girl. All right. Now, I was in a youth organization called the B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. And it was one of probably the cutest things I've ever participated in. Anyways, so nobody in the several years, and I want to make something so clear. Once upon a time, from ages about 14 to the summer I was turning 19, because my birthday is in August, for that stretch of about 5 years, 4.5 years, I was really content with the career path of joining the female rabbinate within either the Reform or conservative movements. Excuse me. Now, what was interesting is the more I learned about Judaism in its entirety, which included Orthodox Judaism, the more I thought, well, the rituals and customs that I am able to keep, this is where my head is at as a teenager, I'd like to embrace, but I guess at 15, 16 years old, I had an understanding that women really couldn't be rabbis, and I wasn't cool with that at that time. So that's kind of what kept me in the movement until about the June or maybe even July before I turned 19 in August. Okay. So, I mean, I have studied Judaism in its entirety, starting from the Holocaust, learned to read, learning about it. Ask my friend, God lover, Jamie Emmons Eisbren, or she'll tell you I was reading Number the Stars when we were 7 in the 2nd grade. Lord have mercy. Whoever these fucking Jews are that Kanye West and Candace Owen can't shut up about, all right? Can you tell us who they are? Because we don't want anything to do with those Jews either, if they're as bad as you say they are. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I am in fits on a regular basis about what are my core even feelings on the Talmud, because there is egregious things discussed in the Talmud. Kind of whatever. That's another conversation. I haven't spoken to the right scholars about the Talmud before I can really give my honest opinion. But there are some Talmudic things that I don't understand and am having a hard time believing that whatever stemmed from this was interpreted properly, that maybe God didn't mean that. It's something to consider. But that's neither here nor there, and that is a conversation for another day. Now, but Kanye West and Candace Owen, two very public, very famous people who have enormous platforms that Rabbi Shmuley, God love him, has had to literally build a career fighting the Candace Owen cockroach and, the Kanye West fucking crisis. Can you tell us yet, Candace Owen and Kanye West, who are these fucking Jews they're talking about? Are they the conspiracy theory Jews that we've all heard about? The Rothschilds, the Illuminati Jews. I have an organization that, as a joke, because we are all, talented with rare abilities, we call ourselves as a joke the Jewish Illuminati, and have a comedy podcast. That's a joke. There are people who believe this stuff. So here's my question. Why haven't they exposed who these people are? And why are they deducing essentially 20 million people. And in its entirety, right? Into whoever these Jews are, like that they say are running things out to get us. Who are they? Enlighten us. Because we, the other Jews, we don't know who those Jews are. And I can tell you, with the exception of maybe, I don't know. I feel like I probably know a couple of rabbis that are maybe like, I don't know, deeper knowledge badasses. Maybe I know a couple, but like, I'm telling you, the regular Jews, we don't know or do the egregious things these people, say we do. We really don't do those things. These people are so appropriate. Like Lord have mercy. I just feel like at this point, you've got this famous person dressing up in Black Klans outfits, just like this is so that one of two things is going on. The man is either in a horrendous medical, psychological, psychiatric crisis, which could be the case, or he is involved in something extremely sinister and dark, where the only way he could, let's say, absolve himself of paying a debt or something like that was, deliberately embarrassing himself in public. Like, it's got to be one of those two things, okay? Because nobody is stepping in. You know what I'm saying? And like, let's give like Kim Kardashian, since we're talking about Kanye, let's like pat this lady on the back. She's taking care of the kids. She's not really blasting him so badly in the I just like, this is a shit show. And we're watching one of the greatest musicians we've ever been able to collectively as a people, whether you're Black, white, Spanish, that Mexican would be covered under Spanish, Asian, European, Jewish, British, Canadian. This is like Kanye West as a musician has united with his talents so many people. All right. And at one point, he was singing about God, even though it's a religion I don't adhere to. He's whatever. This is, in like making beautiful music for his community. And like, you're watching this person deteriorate with a naked person next to them, crying about their kid dressing like a grown woman, blah, blah. Like, you guys, this is why I pray for people, because I'm like, this is going to take a miracle to fix this shit, We're watching a musical genius deteriorate, and it is such a shame. You know what I mean? And as Jewish people, we actually have to speak out on these topics. This is really important because our entire community, whether you're Chabad, whether you're Reform, whether you're conservative, whether you're modern Orthodox, Hasidic, Litvish, Yekish, it just doesn't, Sephardic, it just doesn't matter whether you're Ashkenazi or Hebrew. If you are a member of the tribe, you right now are under attack. Look at what is happening on college campuses. This is an absolute tragedy to be happening in the United States of America. And we're watching, people screaming about land. They just don't like Jewish people. Let's be real. It's not about Gaza. It's about hatred of Jews, and having a reason to yell at Jews. You couldn't, before October 7th, you couldn't just pick a fight with a Jew in the street. But now these people think they have some sort of path to do this. It's just absolutely ridiculous and sick. And I pray for like the wrath of God and the healing of God to come to the earth immediately by way of the Holy Messiah, because I don't see any other way around it. And I am a person who has been a Bible thumper and a Torah learner for a very long time. And I really do like the books of the prophets. I love those books and I know what they say. And I'm holding on to hope forever and ever to the prophecies of the book of Ezekiel, holding on to them for dear life. That's what I'd love to see happen. So as a Bible thumping person, as a Torah thumping person, I'm praying for a miracle here, because I look at this and I'm like, this is insane. And like, whoever these Jews are that these people are talking about, clearly they're referencing the narrative from the protocols of the elders of Zion, because, trashy ass Candace keeps talking about the Frankists. Now, listen, as I said in yesterday's topic, I am going to do a whole topic once I have enough tangible information that I feel solid, that I can give over an unbiased and clear opinion on what that shit really is. You're welcome to Google everything at your leisure. We need a miracle here, because whoever these Jews that they're talking about are, they're not telling us who these people are. They're not revealing their identities. Reveal their identities so all of us can be on the lookout. And you think about something, so like, Sleazy Yeezy, right? And trash ass Candace are both allegedly big fans of the JC. Now, geez Louise, what the hell kind of Christians are you? Don't you want to save some Jews from the bad Jews? Why aren't you telling us who the hell these Jews are? Why not share that with the entire world, so we can all be, we can all be safe? It is really repugnant, because I feel like something has to be going on. These people are saying things that are banana crackers. Like, I'm having a hard time. And you guys, listen, I'm a life coach, so I want to make something so clear. I don't have a degree that allows me to diagnose a person. And because I am a professional life coach as a business, I never diagnose anybody that is not within my credentials. What I am concerned about, though, is that I was raised by a person with, this I know, with to some degree borderline personality disorder. I know what it means to live with somebody like that. And I just kind of look at these two individuals, and I am curious, again, not diagnosing, but curious. Could they have something similar to this? And it's like, these people have spouses, trashy ass Candace has a Catholic husband. They've got children. Sleazy Yeezy, trashy ass Kanye's got a bare bottom naked wife with a stack of degrees and 140 IQ, essentially. That's her, but listen, I don't care. I'm just saying, to the Kanye's of the world, you can't let your wives dress like that and then say, well, my children dressing like that. Yes, because that's their examples. That's an easy one. It's just also kind of jarring that he is upset about something and not making the connection that this is about personal accountability and style of parenting. It's just a crying shame, because both of these people have spouses. My question is like this. Why are the spouses, now it is seemingly that this Bianca is stepping in from what we see on, the news. But again, where is it going? We don't know, right? There's no, Kanye's checked himself into a hospital for the next year. We don't know what these people are doing to get to get well. And technically it's not our business, but when you're dancing around in Klan's outfits, screaming about the crazy, scary Jews, I'd like to know who those spooky Jews are, so I can be safe and protect my family. Because we over here in Orthodox Jewish land, those of us who pray at the Young Israel, nothing goes on. Like, we've got even good, good pastries at the kiddush, so like whoever these dangerous spooky Jews are, you know, please expose them. So all of us, and it's like, I have to look at it at this point now in one of two ways, because it's like, well, on the surface, it doesn't make sense that the spouses would be crazy. Maybe they are. I hope they're not. But like, this is the behavior that is getting their spouse attention, which is frightening behavior. So my question is like this. Are all of these people, Candace Owen herself included, right? Are all of these people involved in some sort of madness where they couldn't pay their way out of it, so they have to publicly embarrass themselves to absolve some sort of debt? Who knows? But I mean, what I can't wrap my head around is they clearly are creating a public narrative that they need to sound the alarm. All right. Now, I am terrified of people like this because they're banana crackers. That's why I pray every day for God to send the Holy Messiah and come slay the evil, wicked, and stupid off the planet and heal those who are healable. Lord, have mercy. Because these people are terrifying. And I guess what I find even equally as terrifying is clearly they are making statements where it's like you're either at banana crackers, you're paying a debt, or you truly do know something, that you should be sharing with the rest of us so we can keep ourselves safe. Are there things going on we should know about? But I mean, I'm not going to trail off topic of Kanye for a second, but like the things, I'm doing an entire show topic on this. The government budget. Lord, have mercy to the Lord. Have mercy on the American people. It is one of the most despicable things I think I've ever heard done. I can't, whatever had to happen for Doge to exist, I don't even give a shit. Thank God they're there. Anyway, moving on. I guess what I can't understand is why haven't these individuals been able to show us a tangible, documented, modern day active Frankus that they have tangible proof is doing hellacious things? Kanye is not exposing whoever these Jews are that are big and terrifying, because it is not all of us as a collective. It can't be, I know secrets. I mean, I've studied, holy situations of the Kabbalah. Let's just leave it at that. I understand mysticism in a way that people understand physics and understand mathematics, which are two areas of strength of mine. But mysticism is a very high area of strength, because I'll look at something, I'll glance at it, and automatically understand what it does, how it moves, what it works. It's almost like, imagine some sort of like spiritual engineer. That's just the way that my brain works. I have to look at this juncture. At the end of the day, the Kosher Intuitive, we are a show, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing people who follow this show and the haters that still follow this show. Thank you for the hits. Thank you for the YouTube views. We appreciate you. Can't understand why you watch someone you don't like, but God love it. Do you. Anyway, so going back to the people that matter. So, like, it's just kind of looking so peculiar and curious, like these people can't furnish. Kanye isn't telling us who the dangerous Jews are, at least not yet anyway. Hopefully he will. Actually, let's pray for it. Dear God, open his mouth and open the mouth of Kanye West and Candace Owen and make them spill the truth on who exactly these people are with all kinds of evidence. Please, God, give us that miracle. So we can put people in prison. But It's a reckless thing to do when you're throwing 20 million people under the bus over, God forbid, and may God protect all the good people of all humanity, Jewish or not. All humanity deserves blessing and miracles and God's love and protection. That's for all good people deserve that. And healing and abundance. That's for all good people. I guess it's concerning, and listen, like I'll close this particular section of this topic. And this is a part one, by the way. This is a part one. About approaching 12 years ago, I dated a gentleman who is a popular DJ in the New York City circuits, who comes from a corporate musical family. We're leaving it at that. Briefly dated this person. The biggest thing, I think we had a lot in common, actually. I am substantially more religious than this individual is, and it never would have worked on a marital level. But in the brief time that I did date this person, we're both very big fans of Kanye West. And, it was like a silliness that we like briefly bonded over was our love for Kanye's music. And this person, because of their life situation, and I don't want to disclose anyone's privacy about a brief relationship that happened, over a decade ago. All right. It's not appropriate. It's not appropriate to that individual. It's not inappropriate to the relationship I'm in now. It's not appropriate. So, but this was a person who had family that, whatever, could make, let's say, five phone calls and probably get someone from the Kanye team on the phone, if not him himself, right? And like, this man's a brilliant, fashion designer. He's a brilliant businessman. It's almost like he's brilliant at everything. And I do understand how that could inflate someone's ego, because this gentleman that I briefly dated, he was related to the corporate, like the bosses of these bands and artists. Like, these people were where the money, like the head of the money. You know what I mean? Like, I dated for a minute the head of the money. For a minute. Anyway. And like, what I find peculiar here is like, how does one act in such a manner, lose everything, behave this way again and again? Clearly, without there being heavy duty medical, psychiatric, spiritual involvement, serious healing. Or the other scenario, if we go down a rabbit hole, is the Candace Owens of the world, the Kanye Wests of the world, get themselves involved in something that maybe they should not have been involved in. And let's be honest, money doesn't buy everything. I can't even imagine what it would be. Like, one of the things that we joke about with my friends, especially like my friends that I do the comedy videos with for the Jewish Illuminati, like, we make a complete joke. You will die your way out. You can never leave. So like, I guess you guys forgive me for entertaining the conspiracy theory narratives for like a minute. Okay. Forgive me for this. I hate to do it. I hate to do it. I hate to do it. But, is it possible that these people who behave in these egregious fashions, like Mel Gibson, right? I thought it was actually very kind. Like, I was very taken aback. Like, I guess that hatred does exist. I know it did in the Holocaust, but like, it was so hard for me. That was such a hard pill to swallow, because I didn't love Mel Gibson, but it was disappointing. And like, at the time that he had this rant about Jewish people, again, not telling us who the Jews, like, because dude, it's not all Jews. So, again, you've got this Mel Gibson person shouting about the Jews. And it's, again, won't tell us which Jews to avoid, which is frightening, even to us Jewish people, because I can tell you, nothing frightening goes on at shul on Saturday. It's pretty basic, pretty uneventful, thank God. Amen. Like, these people are putting everything on the line to say egregious things about Jewish people. So my question is it possible that these are staged happenstances these people put together deliberately? Like, let's say you owed a debt to this cult. I'm just making up a story. There could be, we have no clue if my theory is accurate, right? This is really a theory. Again, if anybody knows anything and wants to add to the conversation, absolutely, just be able to prove it. That's all I ask, because I'm telling you right now, this is a theory. I'm gonna put my conspiracy theory hat on for a minute. So, like, let's pretend there is some sort of cult, right? That you would otherwise have to die your way out of. Maybe that would be it. Or you have to do something so publicly embarrassing, maybe, that you have to, like, you suffer a bigger loss than them, like, taking your money. It's almost like you have to humiliate yourself to, like, absolve yourself of the contract, whatever the case may be. I get that's it's a conspiracy theory, and it's a theory. No clue if that's fact or not. I am just starting to wonder, could such a thing be real? Because I just find it so hard to believe that these people could be so fantastically stupid. I mean, or mentally ill. I, and I have to, like, think to myself, you've got in some of these videos I've seen Kanye looking absolutely just a sight for sore eyes. I don't care how much money you have. Like, as my fellow human being, watching videos on Kanye West to prepare me for this topic was grim. I'm like, oh Lord, you can see the nitrous on his face, and I bet you, I bet any amount of money there is an addiction to painkillers in there somewhere. It would not surprise me. Again, a theory. No clue if there's truth behind what I'm saying. It's a theory. It's a guess. But you see the trauma and the disaster on his face, and it's like, you are flailing around, calling yourself some sort of god, looking a mess, looking crazy, and people are encouraging this, and it is just, I'm hoping that there is a bigger picture here, like trying to settle a debt with a cult or something. Like, that's my hope. Because I really would rather this person be doing something this egregious to save their life somehow, right? Rather than truly feel this way. It's just so disappointing. So disappointing to watch a musical genius deteriorate in front of our eyes. Very disappointing. And I felt like it might be appropriate to discuss Kanye West. And, listen, I'm at the point where it's like, all right, Lord, Hashem, Kanye West is my fellow human being. I appreciate his music. He's got, 4 children. I probably one of the only celebrities I've ever taken, a direct interest in anything they've done outside of their trade. I ask for this person to have a refuah, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial refuah shalema, whatever that means, from Hashem. Because whatever is going on in the lives of these people that are otherwise decent, that are causing them to act this way, like, they should be lifted of that. If there's anything spiritual going on, like, let's pray for it, because, like, these people, these people are in such amazing positions to like lead the world into something stellar and fantastic. And it's like, dude, it doesn't matter that your wife showed her naked body and was the most Googled person on the earth for, 2 seconds. Okay, big fucking deal. Um, she had to take her top off to do it, and shame the fuck on you for not highlighting something, if you want it. It's like, dude, if you wanted your wife to be the most Googled person on the planet, why not post something extremely amazing about the lady without exposing her business? Like show the world what, show the world what the incredible capabilities of a beautiful woman with a 140 IQ. Highlight that. Make a big deal about that. That is like so fucking huge. I am like so excited to get the kids and I over the next year tested for mensa. It's just the route that we are going about is rather expensive. It's out of pocket, to test in, but that's an amazing thing, to highlight having a spouse like that. It's just like we're seeing real deterioration with people saying and doing just absolutely egregious things. California burned, literally pieces of California literally burned to the ground. Like, you guys, listen, I get that I am a, holistic type person, but I do have value for psychiatry and medicine. All right. I do. I have value for the medical field and for the psychiatric field. When I saw the fire tornadoes on the news ablaze in California, I was like, this, you got to understand, I've read the books of the prophets. I've read the books of the Nevi'im. This is like Ezekiel stuff to me that I'm telling you, you guys, the blazes of California spooked the shit out of me. Like, you guys, come on. There's a song by Matisyahu of many years ago, if you got no water, how you gonna survive? Like, how did this happen? Like, this is past government. I mean, this is just an egregious tragedy that happened, where it's almost like you're watching this occur and you're like, no way, this is not the wrath of God. Like, because scriptures talk about this. Like, these are the types of things, sorry guys, like, I really do believe in the things I read in the Tanakh. I believe in the Tanakh. I believe in the Chumash. All right. I believe in the books of the prophets. And like, we're seeing on the flippin' news, a month and some change ago, California just on physical blazing fire. And it's like, dude, how did this go down? Like, that is just too many things don't add up. Like, I'm telling you, the fire tornadoes. Like, I can't get behind the conspiracy theories, you guys, because I've read where some of you may not have. I actually have read the Bible, and I saw that shit, and like, I was like, oh Lord, this is a serious situation. California, pieces of California just burned into ash, into nothing. It is like, oh, I don't even know what to say. A travesty. Just a travesty. And then shortly thereafter, the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris too, Amak Shemo, for real, get on to the TV. This was Joe Biden. And he was like, well, California's on fire. That's a shame. Let's talk about the fact that I'm the granddad again today. I'm like, no, he didn't. No, the president of the United States did not talk about a personal matter. Like, when when I was watching the news of California frying to the ground, and Joe Biden and Shimo had the audacity to basically say, well, fuck it. California's burning, but I became a granddad again today. I was in my soul livid with him again. And I'm not a political person, ladies and gentlemen. Please believe, not a political person. This is an isolated hatred for these particular people. But like, I had the same feelings again about this Joe Biden creature, then like with the Afghanistan situation. Lord, redeem and heal those people immediately. Like, you guys, I still dream about the people of Afghanistan falling off the outside of the planes. I pray for God's highest level of mercy for those people. Such a shame. And like, same vibe that I got from him again during the California fire tragedies. I'm like, oh Lord, how, right? Like, how do you not? This is a bigger than a crisis, and like, God be with these people, but I am starting to wonder, and I hate to like even create the narrative of a conspiracy theory. But I am starting to wonder, is something bigger at play where these celebrities have to behave in an atrocious fashion, whatever that is, right? Because look about the Diddy shit, right? The Diddy parties, like, Kanye West is endorsing Diddy. Now, listen, I'm not going to sit here and talk about the Diddy party. One second, guys. I have a client after this show. But I'm not going to sit here and talk about like I'm some huge expert on the Diddy party. I do watch Law and Crime. You know, I watch whatever, they report. I'm not going deeper than that. But like, I saw some things in the pictures that like didn't sit right to me that I know could, I'm not saying it is, it could, be associated with some sort of satanic Satanism, witchcraft, cultish things. It could, really could. Again, I'm just seeing pictures of brief moments. I don't, want to get into what those things are. It's really gross, but I saw some things that I'm like, I understand other people could do that, but I also know that the really crazy people who do egregious things in the name of magic and craziness, just like, you guys have to understand something. There's real lunacy and evil that exists on the planet. Lunacy and evil, crazy, evil, awful things. People who do things that are so awful, you just like all we have left is God. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is terrible. And I'm watching people with something heavily to lose throwing their legacies away. And I guess my question is there something bigger at play? That again, he has to maybe deliberately act this way to absolve like some sort of spiritual cultish contract or something. Who knows, right? I'm just throwing throwing an idea out there. If anyone has anything to add to that, please join in. But it's something I think that we're going to get into and end on this note that stood out to me in researching this topic of Kanye West is he mentions when he talks about the involving of things that, had taken place with a relative of his, that he had seen pornographic magazines that had belonged to his parents. Um, listen, we know from psychology and medicine and therapy and being alive that children witnessing these things can traumatize them and make them act outside of themselves. I'm not giving anybody a pass. We don't know the details of this story that, allegedly happened. How do we even know this really did happen? Maybe this is I'm not trying to clean it up for anybody. I'm just saying I just find this whole situation either a gross mental illness breakdown that's being completely neglected, or something, cult-like, absolving some sort of cult-like responsibilities or a play or something. The man, because he's acting banana crackers and nobody is stopping it. That's one of the reasons why I'm suggesting that. But yeah, there's so much yuck here. I'm wondering if the situation, if, abuse, whatever it was with his relative did occur, he's mentioning being exposed to pornography. We know that's traumatizing. I guess I'm going to conclude part one with saying I really hope that as we explore the mind of this musical genius, we can also try to gain some compassion that maybe somewhere this person is having a mental breakdown because of victimization. Maybe they're being victimized again. The bottom line is this father of four husband needs our prayers, because this is no way to live. And that was our first part on exploring the mental deterioration in the mind of Kanye West. For anyone who wishes to book a private appointment with me at through my business, The Kosher Intuitive, please reach out. Please remember that we do have a policy. We'll send you paperwork. Nobody is turned away because of budgeting. We will work with you, as the best we can. And please like, share, and subscribe. If there's anything you'd like to add to the conversation, please feel free to do so. And we're wishing you a wonderful and blessed Tuesday night. Thank you so much. Take care.